If you've ever thought about building your first property, you might be aware of the term building selection. I'm told this can be a massive task, and one, if you're not prepared for, can catch you out spending way more than you wanted. Or maybe building your new home under spec, making you lose value. I'm very lucky to have my dad, Nicola Kefalianos, who has built over 100 homes. He's going to open up everything we need to know about how to reduce your chance of losing money or overcapitalising, how to nail the right selections when building, how to add the most value as possible in the cheapest way.
That's right, Nicola. Selection day can be very exciting, especially if you get it right. Let's start off by asking me some questions and I'll answer everything you need.
So first, would you be able to explain what even is overcapitalising?
Overcapitalisation is when you're building a property which is costing you a lot more than what you're going to get in that area. For example, if you're building a property in, say, Morphett Vale, South Australia, or Reservoir in Melbourne, or Campbelltown in Sydney, you want to build to that market. So you don't want to overspec your property to be too high end, because that's overcapitalising, and you're not going to get your money back in the future if you were to sell it again. So what you really need to do is understand what the market is and what people would be prepared to pay for that property when it was finished. So you don't want to be overspending on a property in an area
where people won't be able to afford it.
Correct, but also that may affect your valuations on the property too. So let's just say the average build in that area might be $400,000. If you're overspecking your house and it's costing you $600,000, you're going to be overcapitalising on that property, and the valuation might not stack up either.
So how would we reduce the chance of doing that and overcapitalising? Because that could be quite a bad outcome.
So first of all, understand where you're building, understand the market. So make sure you understand who the market is in that area. Although you're building a house for yourself to live in, and it comes back to our previous episode of your needs, your wants, and your won'ts. So make sure you're building to your requirements, but then also be aware of the market as well and the demographic in that area, because you don't want to be over-specifying your selections or building something that doesn't suit that market. You don't want to be the biggest house, the highest ceilings in an area, which you know you're never going to get your money back, because that's where you'll lose money. That's one way of not overcapitalising, by really understanding the market where you're building.
Yeah. As a first home buyer, how would I find all this information out and make sure I'm not overcapitalising on the property I'm about to build?
So similar to buying an established house, you really got to understand that market. So go through open inspections, see what things are selling for. Get sales history reports from real estate agents that you're speaking to as well. So see what's actually sold in the area there. Do drive through the suburb, look at what's been finished and how much things have sold for too. So try to understand that market as much as you can.
So speaking to real estate agents, getting sales history reports, but also doing your own research by walking through properties.
Yep.
So in saying that, how would I nail the right selections when it comes to that selection day?
Okay, good question. So we're going to make a few assumptions here, because we're building to a market now. So let's say we're building a house, it is your first home, say end price is say $800,000. So you're building a medium spec house in a decent suburb, but not a high-end suburb. So you're building your first house, which most project builders would be building. Well, first of all, when making your selections, it's important to know what your budget is and what you can afford. So speak to your finance broker beforehand and say, what's the maximum I can go to with your loan and with your selections? Because builders will try to up-spec you with your selections to charge you variations. So for example, they might say to you, tile to the ceiling in the bathroom, or they might say to you, upgrade your skirting boards, upgrade your door heights, upgrade your door handles, upgrade your, pretty much, they'll go through everything to try to upgrade you, because that's how they make their money, is on their variations as well. But you've got to be wary of what your budget is, so you don't go over that budget, because you don't want to be making all your selections, getting them priced, and then going back to your finance broker and realising you can't actually build what you want to build. So knowing what your budget is, make the builder aware of your budget so they know that you can't go over a certain figure as well, because you could be caught out where then you've got to be making your changes again. So once you know your budget and what you can do, then you go make your selections, and there's things that you can choose that don't cost a lot of money. For example, what I like doing on builds is I like making the door heights at 2.4. Most builders' standard is 2.1. So that extra 300 high, or 30 centimetres higher on the door frame, makes a big difference as you're walking through a house. It gives it that perception of being, say,
having taller ceilings,
higher ceilings, and making it feel a bit more luxurious. So little things like that might cost you maybe $1,500 in a house, not much at all. Things like that you can do, which don't cost money but give you that better feel and look of the house. Other things which are worth considering is stone bench tops. You probably wouldn't put stone bench tops throughout the whole house, because they do cost a lot of money. So you might only limit your stone bench up to just the kitchen area, or maybe just the bathroom area as well. Probably not the laundry. So there's things like that which you can still give it the feel of luxury with stone bench tops in the kitchen, but not have that throughout the whole house. Other things which you can do is, for example, tiles in the bathrooms. You can have your bathrooms tiled right to the ceiling, but that obviously costs a lot more money. You can avoid that by just having the tiles higher around the shower area and then having tiles that say 1.2 around the toilet area and the basin area. So by not having tiles to the ceiling, that does save money and that still does look good. So that's where you go back to your research. When you're looking at houses that have sold in the area, you see what they've done. So you look at their bathrooms. Have they tiled to the ceilings? If they have,
make comparisons.
And then make comparisons as well. So you might find a house that's got tiles to the ceiling, but got the same price as a house that didn't have tiles to the ceiling. So is that a feature that's worth doing, spending an extra money if you're not going to add value to the property?
So I remember for one of your projects, I came along with you to make the colour selections, and we made sure that there was 2 broad colour selections. So there's a light option and a dark option. What would you recommend about that?
So the reason we did that is because we're building to sell. So we want to give people, we're doing house land packages, and we wanted to give people an option and we're trying to cater a broader market. So we'll give people an option to select what they like. So some people like lighter colours, some people like darker colours. So that's why we gave those 2 options. But when you're building for yourself, you're only selecting what you think is right for yourself or what you think is right for the market. So,
but then again, you do stick to those broader colour schemes.
So when you're making selections, you want to build to the broader market. You might like red splashbacks, but you don't want to be building a house with a red splashback because that's going to be harder to sell later.
Yeah.
So you want to be quite generic. And
so don't try and make a point of difference in your home. Just obviously choose what you like, but don't make it.
Choose what you like, but be quite neutral as well, and things that are timeless.
So you said about how the door heights make a big difference, and it's not that expensive. It's a cheaper option to make your house feel more luxurious and add more value to your property. Is there anything else that could do this?
Yeah, a lot of builders have very basic selections as their base price for tapware. So I always like to upgrade these a little bit.
Yeah.
Because upgrading a tapware can make a big difference in the way the house looks. And that doesn't cost much more money either. So upgrading your taps to something that's decent and also probably better quality as well, it's probably better for the long term.
Mm-hmm.
So things like upgrading your tapware, your sanitary ware, your toilet.
And also I remember you choosing a better light switch, even though it's like such a simple thing. Yep. You didn't choose just the basic plastic.
Yep. So one thing to be aware of when you see builders advertise a price, they might say from $260,000, but you got to understand that from $260,000 price is their basic raw bottom price.
Yeah.
So that might include 2.4 ceiling heights, might include the cheapest toilets, the cheapest basins, their cheapest tapware, skirting tiles in the bathrooms only. Mm-hmm. So you got to be aware when you don't get sucked in with that from price. And when you do make your selections on the property, things like your tapware, always go for quality tapware. Toilets, their toilets they have sometimes as a basic toilet are very basic. Try to get a toilet that's a little bit better, which looks a bit classier as well, which because an upgrade of a toilet might be $300. That $300 can make that house look a lot better.
Yeah.
So little things like that can improve the value of your property and are things which will help you in the long term as well. So think of yourself when you're dressing up to go out. So if you make every part of yourself look a little bit nicer, you complete the whole package.
Yeah, you always get mad at us for wearing sneakers with nice outfits.
So you think about when you dress up to go out. If you're wearing a nice dress and you're wearing sneakers, to me that doesn't look right. But if you're wearing nice shoes with that outfit, it looks good. It's like building a house. You want to make sure that house has got nice finishes because you can't have like a crap toilet and good taps.
Yeah, you've got to
make it consistent. So if you complete the package with those little upgrades that don't cost a lot of money, the whole package of the house will look good. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what have you learned in this episode, Nicola?
So I've learned that you must be aware of your budget.
Yep.
And because of the builders want to push you over the line to make you spend more money with them, you need to be firm with your budget and say, no, I can't go over $400,000 for my building cost.
Yep.
You also need to do some market research on your own or with the help of the real estate agent to make sure that you're not overcapitalising in the area and you're being quite consistent across the suburb.
Yep.
or the area that you're building in. So another thing would be the consistency of your selections and making sure that you are upgrading, say you're upgrading a tap, you have to also upgrade the toilet so then it doesn't look
Correct, yep.
unproportioned.
Something else that I forgot to mention is even light switches. Sometimes the light switches that the builders have in their basic range are very basic. So for a few $100 extra, you can upgrade your light switches, which will change the feel of the whole house with better light switches too. So little things like that, even down lights instead of batten lights in some areas, but not everywhere. You might put down lights in your living areas, but only batten lights in the bedrooms. So down lights do cost money, but you don't have to put that throughout the whole house. So when you're doing your selections, be selective of where you do upgrade different things to make things look good.
Well, thanks a lot for this, Dad. You've cleared up heaps about building selections. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. And if you're new here, make sure to rewind back to episode number 1, where Dad and I talk about the 10 pillars of property buying. If you're a first home buyer like me, you'll find them so helpful. My name is Nicola Kefalianos, and I'll see you in the next episode.